Every grandmother carries a lifetime inside her. The triumphs nobody witnessed, the heartbreaks she outlasted, the wisdom she never got to pass on until now. Welcome to Grands Speak. Each week, Rhonda and Cherri sit down with another grandmother to dig into her life, the love, the lessons, the laughter, and everything in between, because the best stories come from the women who've truly lived them. This is Grands Speak. Welcome in. The conversation starts now.
All right, here we go. All right, hello everyone. Good morning. This is Grand Speak. I'm Rhonda, also known as Sweet Mama. This is
I'm Cherri, also known as Grandma.
Grandma.
Yeah.
So we've been gone a few weeks.
Yep. We've been busy.
We've been busy. We've been sick.
Yeah. We've been traveling.
Traveling, yes, yes, which is fun.
Yeah.
But makes us busier.
Yeah. And tiring.
And
that's how we get sick.
And that's how we get sick.
Yeah.
Because our body's like, lay down. Okay, all right. So what you got going on?
Well, what I was thinking about was last time we were together, I talked about how I went from college to Hawaii and some of our Hawaii experiences. But I was thinking my college years were a little different.
Oh.
Then it wasn't the typical college from the time I got there till the time I left. Obviously, because I left for Hawaii, not everybody did that.
Not everybody does that
Yeah.
because they're not as smart as you. I have decided.
When I was growing up, my dad died when I was young, when I was like 11.
Right.
And it was just my mom and dad and I. So then it was just my mom and I. And my mom became very dependent on me, and I realized it. I'm not sure she realized it. But when it came time to look for a college, she wanted me to go to school in our hometown, Fresno, at Fresno State.
Okay.
Good. I knew was pretty sure I wanted to study to be a teacher. And so I did not want to go to school and live at home and be a commuter.
Yeah.
And
but your mom was scared to be alone.
She was, yeah.
That's gotta be hard.
It must have been for her. And I knew that if I didn't go away to school, I would spend my life living at home, taking care of my mother, going to school and teaching, and that would be it. And I wanted more.
You want
life, yeah,
clearly.
And so I had applied to San Jose State, which is just 250 miles from Fresno. And my mother kind of passively aggressively retaliated by not helping me at all with the process of getting to school.
She's like, you want to go far away?
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
Yeah. So
okay. Just to clarify, you had a wonderful mother.
Yeah.
She like in her heart of hearts,
yes.
She wanted you to have everything.
Yes, she did.
But she was scared.
Yeah.
Fear.
Yeah.
That's one of those things.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah.
Fear. Making decisions based on fear is almost always wrong. Unless you're running from a burglar or something. Right. Run. Do that.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, not so much.
Yeah. So I thought that I would just go off to this school, which was a little on the large side, about 24,000 kids.
That's pretty
Now,
good.
granted, about 12,000 of them were commuters from the Bay Area.
Okay. Yeah.
But still, there were 12,000 of us that, had to be housed. And I thought I would just show up to school, and just like in elementary and high school, they tell me go to this room, and that's where you're going to live. This is where you're going to study, and this is where you're going to live. No, it doesn't work that way in college. So fortunately, I had an aunt, my dad's brother's wife, who had been to college and knew what it was like.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, she'd even been to this particular college that I was going to. And so she explained to me that was not how it worked. She said, let me take you, we'll go one Saturday. And it was only 250 miles. So, you're talking a couple hours to get there. You spend 4 or 5 hours finding a place, and then you come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did, and we found a place for me to live. And
so you couldn't live on campus?
No, because I was too late to apply for dorm room.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
we
you
were-
were a late applicant.
Well, no, I was not a late applicant. I was late finding housing.
Oh,
Yes.
because you didn't know.
No, because I didn't know.
You just
so,
thought somebody was going to do
Yeah,
that. Isn't that interesting?
yeah.
Yeah.
So in,
Well, and I need to clarify
Yeah.
for people that are younger than us.
that's
Back in those days, we had counselors at school, but they weren't so much guidance counselors.
no.
They were there for the troubled kids mostly. And there was none of this college preparatory. There was all this stuff that's in place for our young people now.
Yeah.
That stuff didn't exist. Nobody told you what college was going to be like.
No.
Nobody helped you with those applications.
Right.
It was just a very different time.
Very different.
You did have entrance testing. I'm
Yeah,
figuring you
yeah.
did have that, and you knew to go do that, but you didn't study for it.
Right. No.
There weren't
Oh,
prep
there were prep
classes
classes. No.
to make
no.
sure you got a great grade.
And a second chance
Just
if you didn't do so well. the
Whatever
first
you
time.
got, that's
Yeah,
how
that
much
was
you
it.
knew,
Yeah.
and you either could or couldn't.
Yeah. Exactly.
It wasn't like it is now, and
No.
so there was nobody
Yeah. To guide.
that wasn't a parent or a family member
Yeah.
that would have said to you,
Exactly.
you were doing it yourself, and you had
Yep.
no information, very little
Exactly.
help.
Exactly.
So by the time as a freshman, they would let you live off campus.
Yeah, because they had approved boarding houses
Oh, I see.
all around the campus, and
Okay.
when I went with my aunt, and we had a list of the places, and we started going to look at different ones, and she would just park out front, let me walk in and handle it. She was great that way. And then I'd come
Is
out
that
and
what
we'd
you
talk
wanted?
about it.
You preferred that?
I didn't know it until I did it, and then looking back on it,
You're
I
like
thought that was
suited
perfect for me.
Yeah.
But she knew me so well. She was such a great influence in my life. And and that's where one of the experiences I had on that trip, I grew up reading a lot of things about history and slavery, and I thought that was all in the South. And of course, this was 1963. So
It's the civil rights movement,
and I
yeah.
thought that's just in the South. So the
Yeah.
very first boarding house I go into, I open the door and I walk in. There's a little reception area, and there's two girls and their mothers in front of me talking to the house mother, and the house mother has a very thick Southern accent,
Okay.
and these two girls and their moms are black.
Okay.
And she's chit-chatting with them, and finally she says she apologizes. I'm sorry, we don't have any rooms left. And so I almost turned around and went out when they did.
Yeah.
But before I got a chance, she said to me, can I help you? So then I'm like, and I said, well, I don't guess you can, because you said you don't have any rooms left. She said, oh, we don't have any rooms left for them.
Wow.
Just, and I'm like, oh, no, wait.
Yeah.
And she said, here, let me show you she said, we do only have one room left. She said, but, it's for two. And so if another girl comes, we can, bug together. I said, that's not going to work for me.
Right.
And she said, why? And I said, if you don't have room for them, you really don't have room for me.
Right.
And I just turned around and walked out. By the time
Which
I got
is
to the
so
car, I was so
interesting.
angry.
All right. So you grew up in California.
Yeah.
And
There was plenty of prejudice around me,
sure.
but the overt things I didn't recognize for what they were. Now
Okay.
looking back.
Yeah. But to your knowledge, you'd never seen anything like that.
Right.
Right. And then when it was so direct,
Yes. Yeah.
you were like,
so blatant.
wait a minute.
Whoa. Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. Because, I grew up in Texas, and I was in elementary school in the 60s, and I was small, skinny. Not so much small, skinny,
Yeah.
blonde, blue eyes, and privileged just because of, we were, not rich or anything,
Yeah,
but we just
Having middle class working.
we didn't go
class.
anywhere or do anything. We didn't have money like that, you know.
Well, in the 50s and 60s, nobody did.
You're right, exactly. But it was, you know, the prejudice was overt.
Really blatant, yeah.
And my school, because of desegregation, the schools were changing. And
Yes,
I was
yeah.
being bused
Uh,
um, the following year to a school where I would have been one of two white people,
mm,
white children, not white
Yeah.
people, white children, because very often they had white teachers,
Yeah.
right? Because
sure.
black people didn't have the same opportunities.
Right.
But my school that I was in elementary school was just about half and half.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of segregation.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a lot of hatred. And I never understood it. It was always so, I thought I was just personally hated. And it wasn't until I was well grown that I was like, they didn't hate me. They hated how I looked and how that was presented as what you had to be. And it wasn't, you know,
Exactly.
how's that going to be possible for a little black girl?
Yes.
Right? And so, you know, it was like, oh, blonde hair, blue eyes, tiny little skinny thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the ideal. Okay. You know, so it's interesting that where you grew up, it was more like underneath.
Yeah.
But then you ran into it and you're like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah.
This is an anomaly, but was it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And was that your very first boarding house that you went to?
Yeah, it was the other thing.
The
It was
very
the first one I went
So
to.
you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't even know how this is going to work.
Yeah. And then we went to a couple others, and then we went to this one that was just what I wanted. It was an older house,
Right.
and very large, an old, actually it was one of those English style. It had on the outside and the brown trim around the windows and the stucco, but beige painted. I'm trying to think what they call those houses. Timbered houses, I think they call them in England.
You're talking about you're
The
talking
style.
about the German style. That's how they built the houses in Germany.
So,
Yeah.
but it was just a fascinating old house with all these bedrooms. We ended up, I think there were 32 girls in there. We had two long dining tables that held about 14, 15 of us, and then one table that held the overflow. And we didn't have assigned seats for meals or anything, but there were two sisters who ran the place. And the name of the place was the Claire Ellen. And my aunt's name was Claire.
Okay.
So, interestingly enough, the first place I'd gone to was called the Wendy Glen, and my uncle's name was Glenn. So,
wow, that's so weird.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, this was the second one you went to.
This is the one.
Were there black girls there?
The two.
They
didn't
they
have
went
room
in.
For, Addie and Cece. Yep.
They were
They were
allowed
from
to
Los
go
Angeles.
there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was a good.
It
You
was-
know, it's so interesting to me. I was a much more unsure child than you.
Yes. Yeah.
I was much more insecure. I had a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You were so independent and confident. Like that first place, I'm sitting here going, what would my response have been? Like I'd have known it was wrong. I wouldn't have known what to do. I would have felt so awkward and insecure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known what to do.
Yeah.
And I didn't say no to adults. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or authority
Yeah.
figures.
Yeah.
I just did what they told me to do, kind of, especially at that age.
I think having my dad die when he did,
Mm-hmm.
and my just kind of stepping in, because we had a saying in our house, we got to take care of Mom. She's like, my dad would do this, he'd get his hands, he'd go, she's like a little China doll.
Oh, wow.
She's fragile, we have to take care of
You
Mom.
were groomed to do that.
Yeah, and so right away I started taking care of Mama.
Sure.
So I went with her everywhere, and she drank and she smoked, and she liked to go with her friends, and they were all smoking and drinking, and obviously I was not. Hated
Correct.
all the smoke.
Yeah.
There were times when we would ride home. Now it might be coming just like 4 or 5 blocks,
Uh-huh.
we've been playing Monopoly with friends. They've been smoking and drinking all night long.
Sure.
And one time she actually did have a small accident.
Right.
She turned left in front of a car that didn't have room to turn left.
Right.
And it ran into us.
Right.
And in those days, I mean, he was probably doing 30 and she was standing still.
But you probably didn't have a seatbelt.
Oh,
Did you
right.
have a
No, we
seatbelt?
didn't have a
No
seatbelt.
seatbelts.
No.
Yeah.
But it was, I was used to taking care of her.
Sure.
And probably at some time in my junior year, I began to realize what I was doing. And I started trying to train her to take over more things.
Take care of herself.
Because I was doing all the cleaning. She was still working and as a bookkeeper of the company business, the family business. But I just added to my, I'm like Yolanda, I'm a volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I was in Junior Achievement
Right.
and Rainbow Girls
Right.
and chorus, and I was the president of the dance club. So when we put on our school musical, Little Abner, I was headed up the dances and choreographed the dances and helped design the costumes and
Mhm.
you know. So I started turning more things over to her, and so I had the confidence of I can take care of myself.
Right. You've been taking care of her.
Yeah. So
You can take care of everything.
yeah. So when I left for college, she had bought me. That was so funny. She bought me a car for my 16th birthday because she was tired of driving me around, me and my
Right.
friends around.
Right.
And I was so mad. I wouldn't drive it for about a month
Okay.
because I felt that at 16 I wasn't mature enough for a car.
You were a complete weirdo. That's
Yeah.
what's going on. You were an
Yeah.
unusual person.
Well, and then, you know, back then gas was a quarter a gallon. You probably don't even remember those
No, I do
days.
remember it.
Quarter a gallon.
Yeah.
And I got an allowance. I got a $5 a week allowance, and it would just piss me off because I'd put $1, 4 whole quarters in that car of gas, and it wouldn't run all week for me.
To be fair,
Yeah.
you didn't make that much.
Right.
I mean, $5 a week was a pretty
That
hefty.
was a big, yeah.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
But you were so different from me. And it just amazes me. And I'm like, well, of course she went to Hawaii. What makes you think you could have thought, because just that drive, so there's a drive, but that confidence to say, I can do anything is pretty remarkable and unusual.
And yet I did buy into, like when my guidance counselor told me, we first started looking in my junior year about, well, what do you want to be when you grow up, blah, blah,
Sure.
blah, blah. And I wanted to be a lawyer. In the worst way, I wanted to be a lawyer and I wanted to get into politics.
But you had to be a teacher because you were female.
That's right. And she
So
told
you
me
bought
very
into the
specifically,
social
women
norms.
can't be lawyers.
Because
They can't?
when
Oh, okay.
okay.
Well, but in those days, the help wanted ads in the newspaper were
Sure.
help wanted male, help wanted female.
Female, correct.
So that just,
That's why when you look at women who got degrees in the 30s and the 40s and
yes, I
went
know,
on
it's
to
like,
be
wow,
CEOs
yes,
or lawyers
scientists and
you're like, how did they even do
exactly.
that? But I look at you and I'm like, wow. No, seriously.
Yeah, I know. It's
Because we have a similar and not background in that we're only children. So,
Yeah.
All the hope was pinned on me. I felt it as pressure.
Yeah.
And it made me less secure.
Yeah.
I didn't feel it as, you can do this.
Yeah.
I didn't feel that. I felt like, oh my God, what if I fail? What if I fail? What if I had a lot of more insecurity.
Yeah.
Just natural, probably just my personality.
Part of it's that, but also my parents were married 12 years when I was born.
Mm-hmm.
So they thought I was just a cat's meow.
I know.
And my grandparents thought they'd never be grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
And so they thought I was the cat's meow. So I thought I was.
I had that too in a lot of ways too.
I had a lot of false confidence. And
I don't think it was false though.
But
I mean, look what you did.
That's true.
Look what
really.
you did.
Yeah,
it wasn't false confidence. I think the insecurities are the false.
Yeah, maybe.
And
Yeah.
I think if I was going to pass something on, if I could say to these guys,
Yes,
if
yeah.
anybody ever watches this darn thing,
Right.
but what I could say to them
Exactly.
would be, try really hard, and I don't even know how you do it, but try really hard to not put all your eggs in the insecurity basket. To be like, I see it, but I'm not going to let it lead,
Yeah. Yeah.
and make the decisions about what I think I can do and where I can go. Because I'm stronger than I know, and I have more everything I need than I can possibly understand. You know, because we do as parents and as adults tell our young people, you can be anything, you can do anything. But then even you were like, well, I can't be a lawyer.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and so we hear the words, but we don't always absorb them. And what I'm saying to our young people is, you've got to find it within yourself to say, and I would say this to people, you know, when I was counseling them, I'd be like, you've got a lot of things good. There are voices, there's noise in here, all kinds of things. But you get to choose the leader.
Mm.
Listen to all of them. They
Yeah.
all have something to
Take
contribute.
notes.
All those voices, they all come from someplace. Don't just dismiss them. It doesn't work anyway. Listen to them and be like, okay, I hear all that. I see all that. Just as if you were listening to anybody, right? And then be like, but where I'm going to make these decisions is from this leader.
Mhm.
The leader that says, I have enough. I don't have to have everything, but I have enough that I can do this, and I can do this next step, and I can follow this path. Choose your paths.
Yeah.
Choose them based on not on a fear leader, an anxiety leader, an insecurity leader. Find that little voice that's like, I think I can do it. I can at least try.
Yeah.
I can at least try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What we have to understand, though, is these kids today have something that hadn't been invented yet.
Okay.
And with computers,
Yes.
young women, and it's hurting the men who say it, the young boys who are saying it, they communicate and they beat down the women.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I was just reading a thing about how when the last presidential election happened and how young, 14, 15, 12-year-old boys were texting to 12-year-old girls that saying about your body, my choice. I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so disheartening.
So
it's
when
so
a young
disheartening
girl
to have
gets
lived
that,
through the sexual revolution
right,
and trying to
and
overcome
this whole backlash to it,
yes,
which is just like this huge tsunami.
yes, it's like,
Yes.
oh, y'all thought y'all had all this.
Yeah. Watch us take
Watch
it
us
away.
take it away.
Watch us take it
Watch
away.
us take it away.
Legally
And you know, there's this idealistic thought of being taken care of. I was watching The View yesterday, and I won't even say any names, but they had a guest host, and she talked about the men protecting the women, and I thought, are there some men, yes, that do protect women? Are there some men that want the best for the women in their lives? But that is not everybody's story.
Right.
And if you're depending on a man
Right.
to take care of you and your body, then all you got to read is some statistics about sexual assault and domestic violence, and you'll come to realize that premise does not work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's an ideal, and in Christian teaching, because that's what they were talking about, where the man loves the woman more than his own body and all that. It's an ideal, but we're talking about humans.
Yeah.
And we're talking about a system that's set up to dishonor in a lot of ways, and it disempower women in so many ways. That's not. You have got to find it within yourself and be strong on your own.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah.
And the fact that you were able to do it at such a young age,
Yeah.
and you saw those two black young women,
Yeah.
you know, being treated that way, and you not only knew it was wrong, because I would often know things were wrong, I just had no idea that I had any power.
Yeah.
No idea.
Yeah.
And you took your power in that moment and said, no, this is not for me. I can't be around you because of how you use your power and authority.
Yeah.
You know, and that's very important
It was,
to recognize your own
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
power
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah. And that gave me, the interesting thing is how, to me, is how I got to school. I just packed up my car. Now, my mom and I had worked on, I needed a wardrobe. So we went to a local department store, and she found, because she could knit and she could sew, she had taught me to sew. I couldn't knit. I didn't try to learn to knit then. But we found these little packets, and I remember they were $10. And there was a yard of fabric dyed to match, skeins of yarn, and then there were patterns to make vests to go with A-line skirts, or you could make a straight skirt if you wanted.
Okay.
So I made the skirts, and she made the
The
vests.
best.
And so I had a red one, a blue one, and a gold one.
Okay.
And a green one. There were 4 of them.
Four
I
of
remember.
them. That
And
is a full wardrobe.
That and 2 white blouses, and that was my
And you're
college. Yeah, for under $50.
And it was very professional.
Yeah.
Like they didn't dress like that.
Exactly.
You didn't go in your PJs.
Right. We wore heels. I wore heels. I just wore little heels,
Yeah.
but I still wore heels.
Yeah.
To school,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then by the time I got into grad school, I had to dress up because I was a teacher. So
Right.
going doing my
course.
teaching classes and going to school. So
Yeah.
but I just packed up my car
Mm-hmm.
and drove the 250 miles.
Mm-hmm.
My mother never came to the school until 2 years later. I happened to have an automobile accident, and I had cut open my forehead here, and they had to stitch it up. And of course, I was only 18,
Mm-hmm.
so they had to call her and get permission. Of course, that scared the holy bejesus out of her.
Sure, of course.
So she
Yeah.
managed to get there the next morning. Then
So your
gave me
mother never
permission.
came to visit you until you were in a car
Until I
accident.
was in that, yeah.
Was that because she was angry or she was scared to
I don't know. I
do
think
the
angry.
travel?
I think angry.
You think she was
I
angry
think she was angry.
because you left her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
so off to college I went, and there was so much to learn. You come from this fairly protected little
Mhm.
world, and you come to the big world.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days, we didn't talk about ADHD or ADD, or I really didn't get diagnosed till I was like 38, 39.
Right.
So,
And you're
and it-
ADD or ADHD?
ADD.
ADD.
Yeah. And I was always busy. My son's the same way. He's busy, but he's not hyper. And
Right.
boy, can I hyper focus.
Right.
Right. So I just, volunteering for things was a little harder there because it was so big, and just finding.
And you were used to being
yes,
in charge
yes.
of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And back at home, my senior year, I had a sweetheart, and he happened to be 3/4 Navajo and 1/4 Spanish.
Okay.
His mom was half and half, and his dad was full-blood Navajo. And right after, of course, the opportunities to him were not open.
No.
I'm not sure they ever bothered to even test him to know what he was. Turns out he was just as smart as me, really, but the opportunities were not there. So he went right into the Army, and of course
Okay.
that was Vietnam.
Oh.
So he was in all of his training during our freshman year, and we had, we were both pretty mature kids. It was like, he was a year older than me, and he was in the same month. His birthday was the same month, but he was a year older than me, and we were pretty level-headed.
Mhm.
It was we were way too young to make the. I think back on him though, we were way too young to make the decision to
Right.
get married. But we were really all ready for him to go into to make the decision to go into the army.
And fighting a war.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. It's like
A
okay.
horrible, horrible war.
Yes. Yes.
Overseas.
Yeah, exactly.
Halfway around the world.
Yeah. So he went into the service, and so I said to him, "I'm going to go, and I'm going to date, and I expect you're going to meet girls at different times. I'm sure they hang around those bases." And he goes, "Yeah, probably." And I said, "I expect you to date, you know." And
Right.
he said, "Okay." So that was our decision, and we wrote when I was in college, and we saw each other. He happened to get home for Christmas, and we saw each other at Christmas. And then we were back to our jobs and stuff, and then. That first year, I did the more normal thing that girls do, I think, when they first go out. Somebody in the boarding house has a date with some guy, and why don't you come? We're just going to a fraternity party.
Mhm.
So you go and you meet some guy, and you go out with him a few times, usually coffee, because nobody had a lot of money.
Right.
We're in a state school, and I didn't drink coffee, so
Right.
it was a real cheap date. I would have tea, and they would have coffee, but. And so I met a few guys, and I'm like, oh my God, they were so young.
Hmm.
They were just so much less mature than me.
Right.
So I'm meeting freshmen and sophomores,
Sure.
maybe a few juniors. The juniors are not really interested in me.
No, right.
I'm like, oh, I cannot take this dating these guys. So part of my college tuition was covered by a work-study program.
Right.
And I got to work in the library, which was just like I'm going to heaven. And one of the things I did was check people in and out. And I met a couple of older guys that way, grad students and seniors, and some interesting guys. And so by my sophomore year, I was dating older men, really. And I had about 5 of them.
Were they in school?
Yeah, they were taking
okay.
courses.
Okay.
One was working, he worked full time as a bartender, and he took 1 course a night. He was a Canadian,
Wow.
Maurice Souza. What a doll he was. And then another one was a senior getting ready to go. He wanted to be a physical therapist. He did become a physical therapist. And then there were 3 others that kind of fade in my imagination. Those 2 stuck out over the years. But anyway, and Jim ended up, of course, in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So.
Did he die?
No.
Okay.
No. So he went and he was there for a year, and writing to him was just because there'd be sometimes when he'd be somewhere where he couldn't get letters at all.
Sure, yeah.
And
that was not a very sure way of contacting and communicating.
No. Well, I had a great idea that year.
Okay.
I was going to surprise him.
Okay.
I was going to go to Vietnam.
You were going to go to Vietnam.
But I had a great way to get there because I could dance.
Okay.
And so I was going to join the USO.
Okay.
And get in a USO troupe.
Okay. Did you do that?
No, but I did join the USO.
You joined the USO?
Yeah.
But you didn't get to go to Vietnam?
No.
Did you get to dance and?
No. I ended up volunteering at the local USO club.
Yes.
Which was so delightful because it was built between the 2 world wars. And so it was this old building and just charming. And we had guys who came from Moffett Field, which was Navy. But we also had guys. There was I forget. There was an Air Force place that was up in the mountains that was doing radar and that kind of stuff. And so they would come down occasionally. Sometimes people would come up from Monterey area, so there was an army base down there. Well, Camp Pendleton's not that far away, so sometimes they'd come from Pendleton. And so we just I talked to a couple of the other girls in the boarding house, and by then I had moved out of the boarding house, although I still had connections with it. And because I was over 20, I was 20 by then. And after 18, you could live off campus, off campus. So I got an apartment with one of the other girls, and after that, I always just had an apartment I shared. So I would talk some of the other girls into coming with me to the dances, and then we'd meet guys, and we'd always take them back to the apartment with us and watch TV and have a couple drinks, and then the guys would all leave. They knew when the last bus went, and they'd walk to the bus. And
All right, so I have a super personal question
Yeah.
to ask. Were you sexually active with your first boyfriend?
no,
No.
we were very innocent.
You were very
Yeah.
innocent. Did you just remain a virgin through all of that?
Yeah, I did.
You did.
Yeah. So these were all just platonic relationships, you know. I mean, we'd kiss the guys, you know, but we would do things like take them home at Thanksgiving. Whoever was around and couldn't go home to their own homes, we'd take them home with us for Thanksgiving. We'd take them home for Christmas.
Okay.
We'd have a Christmas party at our house, and we'd do things like wrap up packages of cigarettes or bars of soap, and you know, just
Okay.
little things that I knew they, you know.
And so you bring them to your mother's house,
Yeah, I usually bring one or two of them to my mom's house. Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
was cool with that.
Yeah, that didn't bother her. Because she was used to me, because when I was in high school and I did little theater work in the town, I was always one of the youngest, but the chorus kids tended to be a little older than us dancers. And so she would just invite them all back to our house because they wanted to drink and smoke. And she wouldn't let them drink, but she'd let them smoke.
Okay.
And they couldn't even go anywhere in those days and smoke. They had to hide behind the barn to smoke.
Okay.
So, you know, at least they could go smoke. And, you know, they'd talk to her and tell her all their problems. And, you know, she didn't have any what is it? She wasn't invested in them.
Right.
And
it
so
was
she
easy
wasn't
for her.
judgmental. She
Right.
could just listen and,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, reflect back what they said. And I could never talk to her, you know, like that. You know, you never can with your own mom,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Sometimes
ideally
you
you
can.
could. Some people can.
Yeah, that's true.
Honestly,
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah. But,
I don't know any of them. No, I'm
Yeah.
kidding. But I
You're just
hear
making
tell.
that up.
I hear tell.
Yeah. So she was used to my, you know, bringing people home.
Yeah.
And so I got really, really active in that. And so when Jim came home from Vietnam, and he said to me right away, he said, "I'm a mess."
Oh God.
He said, "Don't ask me to tell you about anything. I don't want to talk about it." I said, okay. I'm thinking, I probably don't want to hear it.
Right.
Eventually, over the years, I got a few stories out of him, but we just stayed really close friends.
Okay.
And he always knew if he needed anything, I was there for him, and
Yeah.
I knew he was there for me.
Yeah.
And then so that he came home the end of my sophomore year, and by then I had stopped between my freshman and sophomore year were the last year I went home during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked full time selling encyclopedias,
Mm-hmm.
door to door.
How
And
funny.
yeah, that was
I'm
quite a
just set of
summer.
those.
Yeah.
I had those.
Yeah, that was really good too. So then,
I bet you were.
then after that, when I had to work during the summer, I just worked like in a local store, you know, like a department store or something. People used to call. I worked in the China department one year, and people would call and say, "Do you have such and such a pattern?" I'd say, "Just a moment, let me check."
That's
I
like
didn't
being
know
a
what the hell
librarian.
everything was.
Right.
I'd come back on, "Oh, I'm sorry, what was that?" But I think we've got a shipment coming in. Why don't you call back the beginning of next week?
When somebody else is here.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I would think a librarian could figure that stuff
Yeah.
out.
I'm gonna go dig through the
Oh, you're so
stuff
funny.
in the back and
You're so
see
funny.
what they had and what they didn't
That's
have.
hilarious.
Well, nobody bothered to show me either whether they had a list of this is what we have in stock and this is what we have coming. You know,
Yeah.
they weren't running things right. Don't expect me to do it for
Right.
like
okay.
$1.25 an hour.
Right. Because it takes 4 quarters to fill my tank.
That's right. Exactly. Exactly.
You know, you talked about the gas. My granddaddy had a gas station. So I remember it at 19.3
Yeah.
cents a gallon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
If I was a little kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fussing. Oh, when it went up to 25 cents, there was fussing.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, gas so expensive.
I bet. Yeah.
That's just an ongoing gas so expensive.
Right.
Actually, it seems kind of cheap right now, but
I know.
whatever.
I'm not admitting it.
No. Well, they condition you for that, right?
Exactly.
Because it goes up to $4 a gallon. When it gets down below 3, you're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yep. So I managed to make my way through 4 years of college, and then, well, also because I started college when I was 17, like many young people who do that, I took the 5-year plan to get my 4-year degree.
Right.
Which was wonderful because every year I could take a class that wasn't in my major. I had a diversified social science major and then a minor in psychology. So lots of history, lots of geography, lots of poli-sci. But I always wanted, that was a time when the nation as a whole, and San Jose was one of the best teaching colleges in the country. The nation as a whole was starting to go over to, instead of having an education degree, you got a degree in an academic subject.
Yep.
But there were all those wonderful courses from the education degree. So every year I would take one course that was from the old education degree.
Okay.
And then when I did my 5th year, I took all of the ones that they were,
Yeah.
And my history was social sciences was my major.
Your major. Yeah. So here's an interesting question. So your mom didn't come visit you for 2 years. She was upset you left her. She ever come around? Like, what happened when you went to Hawaii? Did she just want to kill you?
Oh, what happened? Oh yeah, I remember now. Remember I told you I had an apartment with my girlfriend?
Yes.
Well, my last year, so that would have been my 6th year, was 68. So I started in 63. No, it was 69. It was 68, 69 was my last year, and that was all my teaching classes and my practicum, and when I signed up to go to Hawaii. And my roommate and I happened to be at that time a girl I had gone to high school with.
Okay.
And she had moved up, and we'd been living together a couple of years. And we had an apartment in a large complex. Before, our apartments were usually in small complexes, 20 apartments or something. But this was a big complex. And my mother decided, I think it was 2 months before I was graduating. So I graduated in May, so February, March, she moved.
Your mom moved.
She moved to San Jose, to our apartment complex. First, she stayed with us.
Oh my gosh.
I know. I let her know right then that,
But Cherri, what about her job and stuff? Like,
by then she'd retired.
Oh, she was retired.
Yeah, she was retired. And her excuse for moving was because she was trying to get another job. But being in Fresno, because she had sold her share of the business, and she believed, and now I know she was right, that my uncle thought she shouldn't be working anywhere else. And whenever anybody would call for a job reference, he wouldn't give her a good one. Oh, he was a prick.
Oh.
Yes.
Now we're all the way back to the way men take care of women.
That's exactly.
Carry on.
Yeah. So she felt that if she moved to San Jose, she would be able to find a job.
Find a job and not
I
have
thought
to deal
she
with them.
could very well be right.
Yeah.
So.
But how, that must have been like, oh my God.
And I'm sure in her mind she thought, because she had lots of health issues and operations and all kinds of stuff. And she probably thought she'd be able to convince me to stay in
So this is
California.
1969. How old was she?
She was born in 19, my dad was born in 1909, she was born in 1912. 12 from 69, 57.
So
No.
she was so young.
For those days, yeah. For those days she wasn't.
No,
For these
right.
days,
For these days, she's
yeah.
very
Nobody
young.
would think, yeah.
But she was already having a lot of health issues
Yes,
in her
yeah.
50s.
Right. She was physically more than 57, yeah.
Okay, so she moves. She's thinking, I need help.
Right. So she stayed with us, and you know, she really didn't talk to me about, do you really have to go to Hawaii, or blah 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 blah. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just kind of, I'm going, and we said, oh, well, that's great. You can just take over our lease and
Mm-hmm.
stay here, and keep
Mhm.
looking for a job.
And the retirement age back then was what?
60, 62, yeah.
I think it was 60.
Yeah.
And then they
moved it up.
they've moved it.
So Patty and I went to Hawaii in August. I think maybe the first week of August, because I wanted to go 2 weeks before they started having meetings at school.
Right.
We spent 1 week playing.
Yeah.
And the second week we got busy getting into our.
But how did that go with your mom? I'm very curious about this, because I know as an only child, I did feel this very kind of duty as the only one to be there when my parents started having physical problems and were older and stuff.
Well,
how did you
I don't really know, because she didn't talk about it and I didn't ask her about it. I had, while I was in college, she had, like I told you, she had sold out of the business,
Mm-hmm.
and she also sold the house we were living in,
Mm-hmm.
and she bought herself a mobile home.
Okay.
A lovely double wide mobile home in a park.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so when I would go home on vacation, if I didn't have any of the guys with me, she got a little dog, a little poodle, and so she had some company, and
Mm-hmm.
she the mobile home park was just lovely, and they had activities like we have here.
Right.
So when I would go home on vacations, she'd say, oh, we're having we're having a pool party, let's go to the pool party.
Yeah.
So I'd go to the pool party and I'd find out she hadn't met anybody. So I'd make sure she got introduced to people, because I had more social skills, and at least a couple of people who lived near her.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when I would go back to school, they would they would reach out to her, and she would, oh, I don't feel like it today, or she just didn't have the self-confidence.
But it wasn't just that. She was stubborn.
Oh, yeah.
She was stubborn about it.
Yeah.
Like, there's just an unwillingness to do for herself.
There was,
There just was.
I think she, in the back of her mind, always thought, and maybe, which is so interesting, because she had two sisters, one older than her and one younger. The younger one went into the army. She was in the Women's Army Corps during the war. She went to Africa and to Italy. She went to Italy right after they had liberated it. She worked in communications. She was sending back and forth all the secret messages. And when she came home from the war, she got a job in bookkeeping at the local hospital and lived at home with her mom and dad. Then her dad died in 52, and she just lived with her mom and took care of her mom. And I think Mom thought that, well, Cherri eventually will do that for me.
Will do that for me.
Yeah. And
it's so interesting.
Yeah. And it was such an
and
unhealthy
if her
relationship.
husband hadn't died, it would have been a whole different story.
Yes, it would have.
Even if he had died before her, but she was much, much older, then the patterns are different.
Yeah.
That pattern was established when you were so young.
Before I was even born, really. 12 years, he'd been taking care of her.
Yeah. So that's interesting. And I think it's a again kind of an example, if you will, of your real independent nature, your confidence, and your kind of determination to live your life.
Yeah.
And, not feeling that pressure of that duty.
Yeah.
Which is unusual, especially in that time.
Yeah.
You were female,
Right. Yeah.
right? If you'd been a guy, if you'd have been her son,
Right. She would have not had those
go,
expectations.
go,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
to your career, go have your
Yeah.
family, go do this, go do that. It wouldn't have been the same.
Right.
But because you were female,
Right.
and that duty by social pressure,
Exactly.
was very strong, and you resisted. That's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun.
Over and out.
Yeah. I've always
Thank
had
you
an
for coming
interesting
to
life.
Grand Speak, and we'll be back.
Yeah. We will be back.
We will be back.